Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to a video. My first college. Actually, no, that's not even remotely true. My first college football video of this season. So excited. If you follow me on TikTok, you know I've claimed 3 teams technically. 2 that I know will suck: UNM, Texas Tech, and Wisconsin. Those are my 3 teams pretty much every year. But yeah, post a video on there on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, at this22hill, go check it out. But here we have week 1, week 0, whatever you want to call it, of NCAA college football. So excited. Trying to keep my voice down because it is it's 1:20, and I have 3 other roommates nearby, and these walls aren't very, very thick. So I'm gonna try and keep my voice down a little bit. What I'm going to do every single week, ideally, if I can stick to commitments, I'm going to go over just the games from this week and then my Heisman rankings, which I do have even for this week. But let's start off with the games. I think I have them in time order. So starting off with Nebraska at Illinois, starting off first points of the year on a safety, which just an absolutely, Nebraska just played like a bunch of idiots. Like watching that, they're just boneheaded play after boneheaded play. I mean, Adrian Martinez looks great, but outside of that, I feel bad for Martinez. It's not good. Nebraska's not a good football team, but Illinois on the other hand looked pretty good. They were their quarterback, Artur Sitkowski, 12 of 15, 124 yards, nothing too impressive there, 2 touchdowns. But Mike Epstein is an absolute beast. Their running back, 16 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. They had a pretty balanced attack. They had Reggie Love with 12 touches for 45 yards. Then a couple others here and there, but a pretty balanced attack between Epstein and Love. As for the receivers, Isaiah Williams received a lot of the touches for Illinois. He had 6 catches for 41 yards. Deuce Spann had 1 reception for 45 yards, and that's where he got all of his yards from that 1 45-yard play. But if you want to talk about receivers, Oliver Martin from Nebraska, 6 receptions, 103 yards, 17.2 average, 1 touchdown. He's probably going to be the favorite of Martinez. I don't see it being anyone else. Maybe Samori Torre, maybe, unlikely. But Martin looked pretty solid and racked in a touchdown. As for Nebraska's rushing, Adrian Martinez, 111 yards and a touchdown, and then Marquise Stepp had a touchdown in there as well. But their main back, Gabe Ervin, 12 carries, 33 yards. It's not good. So Illinois did end up winning 32-22 in pretty surprising fashion. Next, Yukon at Fresno State, and in not surprising fashion, Fresno State won 45-0. It was bad. The first quarter was fairly even, and then it just turned to, that was. Jake Haener, 20 of 26, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Logan Fife came in for relief, I guess you could say. 7 of 13, 51 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Which the interception was a nice play by the defensive line. As for Yukon, they had a combined 72 yards passing. They also had a combined 35 yards rushing, with their leading back, Kevin Mensah, having 31 of those 35 yards. To make it even better, their second running back, Noah Carter, had 10 rushing yards, so that should put you at 41. Burns and Bruton of UNC had 9 yards combined, so there's 50 yards. However, Steven Krajewski, however you say his name, lost 4 yards, and then Jack Zergiot had negative 11 yards, whatever his name is. As for Fresno, no one's really stood out rushing. Ronnie Rivers, clearly the number one back there, 13 carries, 58 yards, but they're not going to be running the ball. He did have a great touchdown reception. I think all-time leader for Fresno State in touchdowns, I believe, is what it is now. But yeah, 2 receptions to 66 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Cooper, 3 receptions, 87 yards and a touchdown. And then Eric Brook led them with the reception. It was 5 for 61. No touchdowns, but still led them in receptions. As for defense, like just pretty much anyone who played defense for Fresno State got a tackle, so that was nice. Or at least saw got something in the stat book. Surprisingly, Yukon actually led in the turnover battle, which I don't know how it happened, but it happened. Anyway, Fresno State does win 45-0. Next, UCLA versus Hawaii. Again, another huge blowout, 44-10 UCLA. I was hoping for a better game from Dorian Thompson-Robinson, only 130 yards, 10 of 20 completions to attempts, and 1 touchdown. That's not great. But Zach Charbonnet, 6 carries, 106 yards, leads to a 17.7 average, and 3 touchdowns in his UCLA debut. Half of his carries went for touchdowns. But Britton Brown, too, 13 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. He was used as the lead back. I think Charbonnet will slowly take away from that. But as for Hawaii, 220 yards passing from Siobhan Corderio, and 23 yards from Bryden Shager. As for their rushing, their top three rushers, including their quarterback and 2 wide receivers, got a total of 46 yards, top 3 combined. But the team ended up with 26 yards total rushing. It's bad. I love seeing the Mountain West lose games. It's not UNM, but this was it was bad. Day Hunter led them. He had 7 receptions for only 19 yards for Hawaii. No one for UCLA had more than 2, which is surprising. And you know how I mentioned everyone from Fresno State got attacked? Yeah, UCLA just very balanced defensive attack. Bit of pressure in the backfield. Nothing too superb in terms of defense, but 2 interceptions is nice. So UCLA did win 44-10 over Hawaii. Now, where College Game Day was for some reason, North Carolina Central Eagles versus Alcorn State Braves, and both teams looked like FCS teams. I think Alcorn State was favored going into this game because of Felix Harper. Apparently he's pretty good. 154 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Not bad. Just was not quite enough, as North Carolina Central did win at 23-14. Davius Richard, 184 yards, 16 of 25, and an interception, but yeah, I was watching that. Interception wasn't really overly important at this time. North Carolina Central did a lot through the ground. They dominated the ground game. Well, I wouldn't say dominated, but just they enforced their will on the ground. Jordan Freeman, 9 carries, 72 yards. Davius Richard, however you say it, 9 carries, 64 yards. Isaiah Toten, 13 carries, 58 yards. And then Jamal Curie Elliott, 8 carries, 31 yards. Then 2 negative yard rushers. Don't really need to get into that. Stadford Anderson from Alcorn State, 11 carries, 128 yards. Pretty dang good. That's Nico Duffy had 9 carries for 63 yards. As for receiving, North Carolina Central, Ryan McDaniel, 6 receptions, 72 yards. And for Alcorn State, Juan, I don't know names. Anthony Jr., 5 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown, so not bad. And Nico Duffy had 2 receptions, 8 yards for a touchdown. So yeah, and again, North Carolina Central won 23-14. Pretty fun game to watch though. Nothing spectacular, but there's been worse. Like UTEP versus New Mexico State. And again, nothing brings me more joy than New Mexico State losing. It was a little embarrassing, but it's New Mexico State. Don't like them. So yeah, UTEP won 30-3. Gavin Hardison, 249 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Calvin Brownholtz, the backup, 0 for 4, and an interception. Great. That's how bad New Mexico State is, and I absolutely love it. Jonah Johnson, quarterback for New Mexico State, 8 of 24, 82 yards. Their backup, Weston Eggett, 1 of 9 for 7 yards, leading for a combined 9 of 33 for 89 yards. Their leading rusher from New Mexico State, Juwan Price, 9 carries, 37 yards. Omari Samuels, 9 carries, 28 yards. Jonah Johnson, 12 carries, 16 yards. That's gives you a 1.3 average. As for UTEP, Ronald Awat, 11 carries, 74 yards and a touchdown. Pretty good. Deion Hankins, 11 carries, 50 yards and a touchdown. Again, pretty good. And Quadrays Wadley, again, I'm sorry, 6 carries, 51 yards. Receiving, Jacob Coing, 5 receptions, 158 yards and a touchdown. Justin Garrett, 4 receptions, 74 yards, no touchdown. But yeah, literally only 4 receivers caught a pass for UTEP. Jacob Coing, Justin Garrett, Quadrays Wadley again, and Walter Don Jr. combined for 11 catches. They still had 249 yards receiving, so that's pretty impressive. Whereas New Mexico State combined for 9 receptions for 89 yards. Well done. Anyway, that's enough of that game. 30-3 UTEP. And then finally, San Jose State just obliterated Southern Utah. Nick Starkel, talk about him here shortly. Absolutely great game. ESPN's not letting me access the box score, so I can't give full stats. But anyway, this video is longer than I anticipated already. So let's go ahead. So for the Heisman rankings, this isn't a prediction. Mix of projection and prediction. This is if the season ended now, and they had to give out a Heisman Trophy winner, who would it go to? So I got 7 names here. So I think to start off at number 7, Feldarius Payne, the defender from Nebraska. I don't know if he's linebacker or edge, but 5 total tackles, 2 solo tackles for both sacks in the first quarter. It looked just dominant versus Illinois' O-line, which Illinois' O-line looked pretty good for the rest of the game, but that first quarter, Feldarius Payne looked pretty dang good. At number 6, Britton Brown, running back from UCLA, 13 carries, 78 yards, and 1 touchdown. Nothing too spectacular, but I think he would come in at 6 thanks to the win. At 5, again, because they won, Mike Epstein, 16 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Britton Brown did have more yards, more receiving yards, but Mike Epstein was like, just watching the game, he just looked so much more dominant. He was the most dominant player on the, well, Adrian Martinez was something else, but for Illinois, Mike Epstein was the man on offense, so he gets in here at number 5. Number 4 would be number 1 if they had won, probably, but Adrian Martinez, again, he looks great. Just Nebraska doesn't. So yeah, he had 16 to 32, 232 yards, and 1 passing touchdown. Also 111 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. So he made very few mistakes in the game, and he was great. Martinez was great. So he falls in at number 4 despite the loss. At number 3, Nick Starkel, 16 of 27, 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, unfortunately, 2 carries for 3 yards. So the interception hurts him a little bit, and the 11 incompletions also not great. But the yards great, touchdowns great, gets him ahead of Martinez, the running backs, and Payne into number 3. But he is someone that could rise. Actually, probably not. Probably only going to go lower. But that's all right. Number 2, Jake Haener, quarterback from Fresno State, 20 of 26, pretty dang good, only 6 incompletions, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 carries for 7 yards. He didn't mess up. That was and that's all he had to do, is just not mess up. Got him to number 2 on the Heisman ranking as of week 0. Again, this is something that will change. But if it ended today, they were forced to give out a Heisman, it would go to Zach Charbonnet. It would. 6 carries, 106 yards for 3 touchdowns, with a reception for 14 yards, and a dominating win over Hawaii, one of the best Mountain West teams, which isn't actually saying much. But still, he, first game there, Charbonnet looked dominant, and if there was a Heisman Award to give out this year, right now, it would go to Charbonnet. Though that'll probably change as soon as Spencer Rattler plays. But hey, hasn't played yet. So, yeah. So that'll do it for this episode. Well, yeah, this week. So how the weeks go, Saturday is the cutoff line. So any game from August 29th to September 5th? 4th. September 4th. That's the Saturday, I believe, unless... I don't think I'm... Yeah, September 4th, or whatever that Saturday. Yeah, that's September 4th, because... Anyway, so from August 29th to September 4th, that is week number 1, technically, for this. And then rankings will get updated, go over that week of football, including UNM versus Houston Baptist. Should probably know this. I'm going, so I should probably know that. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, Houston Baptist. Gonna go to that game. Hopefully enjoy it. Hopefully Lobos win. Anyway, I will see y'all later. Adios.